And this year, I thought I'd try some volunteering, but I had a lot of questions. So instead of just sitting around not knowing, I went right to the source.
Well, this year in 2015, this is our 34th edition of the Children's Festival. We've got some new and exciting things happening for volunteers. We have a number of changes to our volunteer structure this year as well, that's worth note. So a number of our volunteers traditionally that have moved between venues and different roles throughout the festival, this year will be staying within the same role and the same venue as much as possible throughout the festival. The whole change to the volunteer structure that we've made with making team leaders captains of certain areas is really to help streamline the process and empower our volunteers with the tools and the decision making to be able to address concerns and problems on the fly as they go, rather than having to radio in a staff member or a manager to come and deal with issues.
So all of our volunteers over the age of 18 require a criminal record check and a vulnerable sector check. This is only required every other year. So if you submitted a CRC with vulnerable sector last year, this year we just need a waiver that says that there has been no changes to the record check that we have on file. Because how you apply for a CRC with vulnerable sector changes depending on where you live, any of our volunteer staff would be happy to point you in the right direction, or there's more information on our volunteer database as to how to get your check.
The easiest way to come is to come take the park and ride, so to park at St. Alberta Centre. So the road closures do not affect transportation or access to the site at all or around town, so people can just come right down St. Albert Trail to the St. Albert Centre Mall, and then there they can hop on the park and ride. It's completely free, and it'll drop you off right on site here in front of City Hall.
A raincoat, a sweater, sunscreen, bug spray.
It's important to remember for the volunteers that this year's Volunteer Centre is at Cornerstone Hall, just as last year. A lot of our volunteers have been around for a long time. They've been volunteering for 20 plus years. So it's an important note to remember, asterisk, asterisk, that we're at Cornerstone Hall again. So right beside the Legion, the same volunteer centre that we were last year.
For our volunteers in Volunteer Registration Center, we have an amazing volunteer team of hospitality providers, and they ensure that snacks and beverages and lunch and meals, when appropriate, are available to our volunteers throughout all festival hours.
The Ambassador Program is a leadership program for teens. They are 12 to 18 years old, and they are the first face of the festival, so they welcome everyone on site and make sure everyone knows where they're going and is having fun.
So if I'm just showing up to the festival and I don't know where I'm going, I can find an ambassador?
Yeah, you will find them if you take Park and Ride. You'll find them on the bus. If you're a teacher, you'll find them greeting you when your school bus arrives, and they are also at information booths, so they can help you get to where you're going, or if you don't know where you want to go, they can help you decide where you want to go.
So the most important thing a volunteer can do if they discover a lost child on site or a child approaches them is to stay with that child. Do not move. As tempting as it is to go look for the parents, it's really important for you to stay with that child in the same location you have found them. And then wave down another volunteer, an individual, to grab another volunteer who can get the message out onto the wire that a lost child has been found. And then we can start the search with our emergency response team. Usually we have about 3 or 4 lost children reported each day, and only once in the history of the festival in 35 years has a lost child ever escalated to the point of not finding their parents and police having to be called in.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's extremely rare that a lost child escalates to that level. Typically what happens is their parents and the child are separated within 50 feet of each other. And then of course the child panics and starts to cry, and then volunteer comes over and comforts them. And that's why it's so important for, if you find a lost child, to stay in the same location, because 9 times out of 10, actually 99 times out of 100, the parent is within 50 feet and they've just lost visual sight of each other. So the parent will come back to the last point they saw their child, which is usually where you have found the child, and then they'll be reunited.
Now we have one ticket price for children and adults. It's the same. It's $11 for main stage activities and $3 for site activities. And we also have a $5 ticket for Toddler Town. That ticket is the price of just the children, and adults get in free. I'm really looking forward to seeing Dan Zanes. He is a former sort of punk rocker turned children's entertainer with a early childhood background. He is really smart, really fun, great for the younger kids, and I've seen him perform a number of times with adults and with children, and he's just as fun no matter the age. And so I think he's going to be a really great addition to our festival this year. I'm also really looking forward to the Golden Dragon water puppets from Vietnam. It's not very often we get to see such an amazing sort of cultural work right here in St. Albert. And we never get to see performers performing in a pool either, so that's pretty cool. We also have a really great piece called Under the Stars, which is an adaptation of Hansel and Gretel from Quebec. And it's really innovative. The puppets are beautiful. When I saw it, I really enjoyed the way that the puppeteers sort of almost became they were a part of the story. It wasn't just about the puppets, which you don't see very often. And so that was great. So I think for the main stage, that's what I'm most looking forward to. So we have a whole range of site activities between the visual arts and performing arts and dance. There's pretty much something for everyone. This year we have a few new activities that we really want to draw attention to. One is Cheremosh, Ukrainian dance. They're going to be coming in and teaching Ukrainian dance and sort of the history of that tradition to kids of all ages and adults, anyone who wants to participate. So I think that'll be really fun. We also have Epic, The Journey, which is an improv story where the audience becomes part of the cast and they sort of tell the story of the hero's journey. And what's great about it is it's never the same twice, because every time a new group comes in, the story changes slightly because that different group becomes the cast and sort of shapes the story. We also have returning this year Book of Ashes. It's only running 3 times throughout the week, but I'd really like to encourage people to see it. It's a stage reading of a new play by Emile Cher, which will be premiering at next year's festival. So it's kind of a really neat opportunity for people to see a new piece of theater in its infancy before it actually hits the stage as a fully realized piece.
So I'm a volunteer and I'm interested in doing some volunteering. What would you tell me about what you do? Like, how would that affect me?
Well, I make sure that all of the visual arts venues on site at festival run smoothly, that we have interesting, exciting, and projects that kids can do without too much adult intervention.
Gotcha.
Or volunteer intervention. So what I want to see is kids come on site and be able to go to any one of the venues that we have a visual arts activity at and be able to see the instructions on the wall, see the finished product that's there for display, and be able to do it themselves.
Awesome. So would I come to you, like let's say I need chalk or I need some sort of, I'm a volunteer, would I come to you for certain things? Or
yes, you could, you could go to your team leader and they could say, Diane, we're out of paper. We need paper in the carp kite venue, and I would make sure that more paper got to the carp kite venue. Volunteers are there to help with the materials and the information so that kids could use that paper then to make a carp kite. And a volunteer is there to make sure that there aren't any kids having problems. So if you see someone who's maybe not quite sure where to glue the streamers, or how to fold a paper butterfly, or how to make the dream catcher in the First Nations dream catcher venue, that you're there to help them as little as possible to give them as much experience as possible.
One thing I just want to mention about site activity and just sort of if people are looking for things to do to fill time between shows or activities, I'd really like to encourage them to check out the outdoor stage. We've got 4 fabulous groups and artists from around the region, as well as a number of great rovers that'll be performing all over the site. So there's lots of things to recommend to our patrons if they're looking to sort of fill time between scheduled activities.
There are a lot of opportunities for volunteer recognition and appreciation. A couple ones that I'd like to highlight right now is we ask that our volunteers join us for a pancake breakfast on Saturday morning of festival between 8 and 9 a.m. as part of the Blue Flame Optimist Pancake Breakfast. The other new to us appreciation event is happening a week after festival, so on June 6th from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. at St. Albert's Centre between the Bay and the Transit Centre, and we'll be having a lunch with some entertainment and activities to really have an opportunity to take a deep breath and celebrate what we've accomplished the week prior.
So if you think you or a friend or anyone else who might qualify for a great leadership position has experience with the festival, I would love to hear from them.
Well, that definitely whet my appetite. So now it's just signing up for some events and heading on down and seeing some really good shows and some really good people.